Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Grow My Salon Business podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Whitaker, and as always, it's great to have you join us here. Now, every week I either bring a guest onto the show or I'll dive into a new idea or revisit the foundations of what it takes to succeed in the salon industry today. And with every episode, I'll aim to bring you practical and actionable opportunities that you can run with in your salon business today. Now, on Monday, the 16th of March, I'm launching the most comprehensive and practical salon marketing course that there is. So if you're serious about business and you know that marketing in all shapes and forms is essentially the lifeblood of your salon's growth and long-term sustainability, then you should join us there. To put it simply, the days of just being good at doing hair are no longer enough, if they ever were. So check out the show notes in today's podcast, where there'll be a link for the marketing course launch, and jump on the waitlist to be the first to get details. Now, today I have returning guest Phil Evans from Salon Guru. Phil's area of expertise when it comes to marketing is salon websites and getting found online with a focus on Google search. Now, Phil is also a contributor to my marketing course, where he goes into a lot more depth on both websites and Google, amongst other topics. So in today's podcast, we're going to discuss the impact that AI is having on Google search. We're going to talk about how to use AI tools without sounding robotic like many other people do, and some practical takeaways that you can do today, and so much more. So without further ado, welcome back to the show, Phil Evans.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm looking forward to today.
Me too. It's a little while since we spoke. So there's a lot changed, since then. So look, Phil, let's just jump straight in the deep end. When we were last talking, we touched on the subject of AI, but the last podcast you were on was in May of 2025. And I mean, AI is just impossible to keep up with. It is changing so rapidly all the time. So I wanted to sort of start off with that again and just to ask you in really simple terms, what has AI actually changed about Google search, and why should a salon owner care about how it's changed Google search? What impact does it have on them?
Yes, you're right. I think AI is changing a great deal in the industry, in all industries. And what we're talking about today is the implications of AI with search, which is really important. It's not the most important thing yet, AI in search, but it will become so. We dedicate, I think, 2 of our team of 22 is working on AI all the time, because we know this is coming and it's going to be very important. So where we are now, understanding search, Google search particularly, and rank. Google accounts for about 95% of all search. So we should always talk about Google. And of those searches, AI is at the moment running at about 15%. And I'll give some examples. So it's not the most important, it's not the biggest slice of the pie, but it's probably going to double each year. So we're going to be looking at 30% going to next year, and then probably 60%. So it's important to be ready for that and to be working on it. So I'll give some examples. When your clients, and always think through the eyes and brain of your client, pick up your phone and search as a client would search. Now, they might ask a simple question like, I did some examples this morning. I'll use Tampa, Florida as my example. I typed in best hair color salon Tampa. And what came up was not an AI answer. It was just ordinary, what I call ordinary Google search answers. Best color salon Tampa gave me a Google profile, which is a map with 3 businesses on it, and then websites. That's what I call the original kind of Google idea. Google profiles followed by websites. If you ask a bigger question or a wider question, like what are the spring hair colors in Tampa, I then got an AI answer, because AI is starting to step in and give an answer which isn't a list of websites and it's not a list of profiles. It's Google knows the answer. So it actually starts saying these are the spring hair color trends, and these are the salons that are talking about it and leading. Now, fortunately, our client in Tampa dominated all of those. They were in the AI result, and they were in the Google profiles and the websites. So the thing for the listeners to do is get their phone out after this and do some searches. Some simple searches, best salon, best color salon, extensions near me, extension prices, but then ask some deeper questions. which are the best hair extensions for hair loss or thinning hair, or which salon has the most colour experts in my town, and see the kind of results that Google's coming back at. Because I think the first part of this, the journey, is understanding what you're seeing, how
Right.
clients will search and what Google then gives them.
Okay, now I've got a couple of questions I need to ask you about
Yeah.
that. So the first one is Google search. Google's AI, for anyone who doesn't know, is Gemini.
Yeah.
So the first question I want to ask you is that automatically turned on just by using Google, or do you have to activate it as a separate thing? Because a lot of people don't understand that difference.
It's automatically on now for most searches. They rolled it out in the UK. I think America was first in the UK. It's automatically on, but it often won't give you an AI answer if the question you ask is quite simple. It'll revert back to best salon Liverpool. Here's a map with 3 on. Here's the websites, the way that Google's works for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But when you
Okay.
ask a deeper question, then AI steps in.
Right. And in regards to that, where you've said the AI answer is probably going to increase, I think you said it was going to double, like, over the next 3 years, it will double 3 times, be 60% or whatever. That sort of implies to me that if the AI is going to answer the question for you, as opposed to referencing my website as a salon owner to come to, that sort of implies as a salon owner that you might go, well, I should put more focus on social media. Now, I know you're going to disagree with that, but what would be the thinking that you'd have around that? Because if the AI is going to step in and just answer the question instead of, say, go to Anthony's salon, then it's like, well, okay, AI is showing off. It's going to answer the question itself. Me as a salon owner, I need to really make sure that I'm being profiled somewhere else, i.e. social media. So what's your thoughts about that?
What it does, the answer it comes back with will be Google's view on what the spring colour trends are, and then it will also talk about the salons. The salon that seems in Tampa to have the most ideas on spring colour trends is Monaco, which is our client. So it still mentions the salon and has a link to their website within the answer, but it's trying to, if you like, build out their answer to not just say, here's 3 websites. It's now saying, here's our answer, and we think the salons that can deliver that.
Okay.
So you want to be part of the AI answer because it does list salons, but you also want to be the first on the map and the first website. So being top of Google isn't just one thing anymore. It's not just your website. It's your website, your Google profile, and the AI answers where relevant, where they're appearing.
Yeah.
And some interesting numbers. Because I checked this morning, we've got 230 client salons. So I checked typical numbers. So if I would always say to listeners, do you know your website numbers, number of visitors each month? Because that's a key, absolutely important measure of how your website and business is doing. Typically, I think a medium-sized salon, 6 to 10 stylists, will probably get between 4,000 and 5,000 visits a month. This is a well-run. This is one of our clients who's got their full website optimization, Google profile, typically 4,000 to 5,000 visits a month on their website. And about 70% will be coming from Google search and about 20% from the Google profile, which is the map. So that's about 90% of incoming traffic are coming from Google, and it equates to about 4,000 or 5,000 a month. So after this session, I hope some of your people go off and find their numbers, and you start with visitor numbers. How busy is your website? How does that compare to the previous year? And then where did they come from? Most of your website companies can tell you that. They call it the source, the acquisition. Are they coming from Facebook? But Google is about 90%.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So in a very sort of practical salon sense, and a client, consumer sort of behavioral sense, explain to us what happens if someone searches, to use a term that obviously a lot of people would search for, is best balayage near me. So what determines which salon that Google shows first today when someone puts in that sort of search?
So remember, we're talking about AI a little bit because that's on some searches, but then Google profiles is probably about 25%, and then your website's around about 70%. So the profiles on your website are the 2 main things that you want to dominate and be number 1. And the way you do that on both of them is content and reviews.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, there are other factors that play a part, but really, content and reviews is probably 90% of the job. And when I say content, I mean good pages. If you've got a wonderful balayage page with examples and videos and information and frequently asked questions, I bet no other salon in your town has done that. So you will have the best balayage page with great content. So Google will give you the #1 spot. And then you do the same with your profile. You update your profile to include lots of information about balayage, links to your pages, reviews, ideally reviews that mention balayage. That's a key part of getting reviews. Ask your client to talk about the stylist they use, the service they had, because Google reads all of these now.
Yeah.
So content and reviews.
Okay. All right. So again, very practical stuff. I mean, the average salon out there is not a great big salon. There's, maybe 6 chairs. I think the average salon, I heard someone talking recently, and they were saying in the US, the average salon has not changed that much. It's got like 3 to 4 or 3 to 5 operators in it. And I think that's pretty similar, all over the world. So if you're a salon owner and you own a 6-chair salon, maybe there's 3 or 4 people that work there, and you're not technical. Okay, meaning technical in terms of techie, being able to do the Google stuff that you do. What are the 3 most important things that salon owner and or his team should focus on right now to improve their visibility on Google?
I'd start with the thing I just mentioned, which is know your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't plan to improve something if you don't know how good or bad it is.
Okay.
So some key numbers that you really got to find out. How busy is your website? Now, if you can't find an answer from your web provider, then that there's something wrong there. It's very straightforward. Google Analytics do it. There's lots of tools. How busy is your website? So try and get the number for visitors. You don't want hits or other kind of made up numbers. Visitors, people. How many people visited my website last month? Mm-hmm. That's a good starting point, because we can track that then. If you can compare it to last year, wonderful. We know how busy your website is. If you can look at where they came from, the acquisition or source, even better. But start with the numbers. Make it part of your weekly diet,
Okay.
or monthly diet. Get the numbers together, but also know your rank numbers. Mm-hmm. So we know how busy your website is, but we want to know, where are you for best salon, balayage prices, hair extensions, curly hair treatments, a whole range of phrases. So think again like a client, get your mobile phone out, or go to our website and you can actually ask for a free rank report. We test about 150 phrases in your town for your salon. Where do you appear for each phrase? If somebody types in best salon, are you #1 or number 91?
Yeah,
are you, etc. So that's again part of your constant number plan. I want to know how busy it is, and also my rank. Because if you work on improving the rank for all the phrases over time, if you can go from number 91 in the search for best salon to number 10, that'll have a dramatic effect. If you can get to #1, the numbers are amazing.
Yeah.
So the plan is know your numbers, then work on them.
Right.
And you work on them by content.
Yeah. You mentioned Google Analytics, and I know that you're not the biggest fan of Google Analytics because it's very, for someone who's not techie, it's a bit overwhelming. So there are other apps that people can use to get those numbers.
Yes.
Any that you want to mention? I mean,
we use Matomo, which is free. There are lots of others. Google it. Google, especially now with AI, because if you ask a longer question, which are the best free tools for measuring traffic to my website? AI will give you some answers, and it won't just give you answers, it'll explain them and why it thinks they're the better ones. But we use Matomo, and it's really good, because I think once you've got the basic number of traffic, over time you'll want to know more, like which are the busy pages? Where do they go when they come to my website? Where are they coming from? Acquisition. But if you could go away from this with that want to understand your numbers and do it for the next year, it kind of transforms your business. Because your focus is now on something that this really can produce 4,000 or 5,000 visitors a month to your website when you get it right. So it's a plan to get it right. So content is the way to do it as well.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's a good tip
Yeah.
to actually ask AI. I suppose it's the obvious thing to think of is if you're asking Google's AI, it's going to be prejudiced against recommending
It's
a
not
Google
allowed to be.
Analytics tool as opposed
Legally,
to
it's not allowed to anymore.
right.
Google
Okay.
has to be very careful about this now, especially
Yeah.
in the EU. The EU monitor and measure that it's being
Good.
fair in its answering.
Good.
So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know that we in our business we don't use Google Analytics either. I'm not sure what the apps are that we do use, but
yeah.
again, it's exactly what you said.
Or
Google Analytics can be a bit
ask
overwhelming.
your website company. It's this is basic stuff. Any
Yeah,
website company worth its time should be able to tell you that number straight away, and also
yeah,
show you where to get that number yourself next time.
yeah. Okay. Now I know just switching up a little bit here, still talking about AI, but I want to talk about it in a different context. Is that I think these days most people listening to this will be using AI, and they will typically be using it more for writing. In a salon sense, it's sometimes for writing blogs or it's sometimes for writing captions, for your social media posts, that sort of stuff. Maybe for writing emails or, for the website content that you've got, not just
Yeah,
the blogs, but
yeah,
the page descriptors, etc. And so one of the things that I'm noticing is that as everyone sort of jumped on the bandwagon, is a lot of the Chat GPT stuff, not just Chat GPT, but other AIs as well. It starts to sound very much the same, and it sounds very robotic. So,
yes, yes.
what sort of advice can you give to listeners about how to use tools like Chat GPT or what else have we got? Claude or Gemini to make sure that it sounds like you, just a better version of you, and not a
Yeah.
robot.
We use it. Yeah, we use ChatGPT, but we use it to give us ideas and to broad. If we say, right, we're going to write a page about curly hair treatments and frizz and straightening, etc. So we'll ask ChatGPT and we'll say, give us some ideas about the kind of subjects we can talk about. But we don't like the language it uses. But if you try and get the end result, it'll use words that we like elevate. We see elevate everywhere now because it's a ChatGPT fixation.
Yeah,
And it doesn't sound natural. But as a way to broaden your ideas, as a way, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good idea. Ask it for bullet points. Don't ask it to write the thing for you. Do that yourself. It needs a human touch. It needs
yeah,
your voice, but use it as a really good tool to kind of do some of the research for you or some of
yeah,
the thinking. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of the bullet points. It gives you
yeah,
some structure to the whole sort of
yeah.
conversation, and
You know,
and then
often
you
if
add
I've
you
got an
to it.
idea in my head, I'll go to ChatGPT and get it to work almost with me to say, I've got this idea, I want to do this and this, what's missing? What else should
Mm,
I do? And it's great at that. It really
yeah,
can be an assistant. Don't just use it for what it's not very good at, writing
yeah.
words.
Yeah, I've been for a long time. One of the things I always put into a prompt is I'll say to it, "I'm going to ask you a question about such and such,
Yeah,
but before I ask you the question, what questions do you need me to answer?" So I'll say it's about balayage or it's about whatever is the topic. But before you answer it, what questions do you need from me? And it's always interesting the questions that it comes back to me with to give it some sort of structure as to, well, who is the audience? Who is going to be listening or reading this? And it's like an intern, I always find.
yeah,
It's like an intern that's working with me to
yeah,
help me be a better version of me.
yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. If a salon ignores this, because a lot of people listen to this going, "Oh my God, AI! It's just so I've got so much on my plate at the moment anyway with running the business on a day-to-day basis," and I'll just put that AI thing to side for a minute because there's just too much happening here, and hairdressing is more a people business, and we don't need any more of that than what there already is. So what I'm asking you is this: if a salon owner ignores what's happening with AI and search, okay, over the next couple of years, what do you think is the real risk to their business?
Right, I'm going to be quite challenging here. And I think my greatest concern, I spend my life talking to salon owners, most of which are not our clients. We've got 200 clients, but I speak to thousands. Most salon owners don't actually get to grips with search. the vanilla version without AI. They don't know their traffic numbers. They don't know their rank. So yes, absolutely understand how AI is changing the way that we do search, how search works, and the information we therefore need. But if you're not doing the basic thing first, you can't go in and do the AI level when you haven't done search. What is your website content like? What are your traffic numbers like? Where do you rank? That's the start of building this great engine for growth. The AI is the next level, but don't plan for the next level if you haven't done the first two.
Yeah.
Know your rank numbers, know your traffic numbers, understand how content plays a part in that, and then make it AI relevant. Now,
Yeah.
the way you make good content AI relevant, because I think it's important, if we've got an amazing page about hair extensions on our websites, good SEO, great content, dominating Google, what are we doing to go and make that AI relevant? Well, we're going back to it and we're saying AI loves questions, answers, information, answer first, they call it. So we go back to that page and less wordy and punchier and right at the top, what you will learn on this page, bullet points. Then real structure to the content, structured reviews from clients, structured data, we call it. So when AI comes to this page and reads it, it immediately gets, this is a very punchy, informative page with lots of questions and answers and the information I need as AI engine to feed clients. So it's a kind of re-engineering of a good SEO content.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I didn't quite answer your question about what happens if a salon ignores AI and search. The worry is you become invisible. Your website, your Google profile, you become invisible online. You lose that. Now, if you've never had a good website, you never had a good profile, you're not losing it, but you've never had it. But that danger of your competitors doing a lot better than you, that's what's going to happen. If the salons that grasp this become the dominant force on Google. We've done it so many times over the years, whether it's in Tampa, whether it's in Liverpool, whether it's in London, get a salon to completely dominate Google, and their numbers just go through the roof. And if your competitors do that, if two of them do it, you're going to lose a lot of clients. So that's the danger.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, listen, last one before we wrap up is based on, what we've covered today. And I always think that with these sort of techie conversations, they can be a bit overwhelming for people, so I wanted to purposefully keep this a little bit on the shorter side. But I also wanted to finish with some very practical takeaways. So what would you say are three very practical takeaways or actions that a salon owner, a listener, should do when they get off this call?
Okay, so this is their homework.
Yeah.
And it's important. It really, really is important. It starts with knowing your numbers, which I already covered. Yeah, know your numbers. Your traffic numbers, go to your web company, or if you know them yourself, find out how many visitors are on your website. That's the big number. That's how busy is your website. Then that's followed up by know your rank numbers. So it's possibly 100 phrases. If you want to do it yourself, start with your mobile phone in the salon and search for 10 things in the salon. But then move 500 meters away and do the same thing, and then move a mile away and do the same thing, because you'll get different results based on location. Or go on our website, salonguru.net, top right corner, ask for a rank report. We do it for free because it gets the conversation going. We'll do a rank report of about 150 phrases for you in your town. So you know your traffic numbers, you know your rank numbers, and then make a plan. Because knowing your numbers is the first bit. Now we're going to fix them. So let's say you don't rank for hair extensions at all well, and you want to. Then you need a great page about hair extensions. We've got loads of examples, or search for hair extension in your city. The websites that are coming up are likely to have the best pages. Or pick a big city. Search for hair extensions in London, or search for hair extensions in Tampa. I know you'll find some great examples, and most of them are our clients. That's the kind of content you need.
Okay. As I was listening to you, I was thinking about, well, which one is the most important with those three locations? You said search for, identify three phrases. So, best extensions in, London or LA or Boston. And you said do it in your salon and then go 500 meters away and do it again, and then go a mile away and do it again. I suppose the obvious one is that when you do that and you're within your salon, you should hope that you that you're going to rank at number one.
You'd be surprised how many are not.
Really? Okay.
Oh,
So,
God, yes,
so,
yes.
so, so, if you've done that 3 times, so I've done it in my salon, I've done it, 500 meters away, and then I've gone 2 miles away and done it. Which one is the most important that you rank the highest for?
Depends on the phrase, and depends on where you are, and depends on what you look on the phone. Because the phone's going to give you probably 2 answers. It's going to give you a map with some profiles on it, followed by websites. So if you type in best salon, and you're in London, let's say you're in Covent Garden, the 3 are going to be very close to you because it's very localized, the map results.
Yeah.
Then beneath it, the websites are probably going to be also quite close. Websites tend to cover a slightly bigger area. So if you're in London and you search for salon near me or best salon, it's very localized. You're going to get a map and you're going to get 3 salons very close by. And then beneath it, you're going to get some websites, which will probably go a bit further out. But if you type in best curly hair specialist London, then it's probably going to cover a bigger area because you're probably not going to have 3 in Covent Garden. Or you might even widen the map because you're prepared to travel. So it depends if you're in London, but if you're in a small place, I'm going to use Gloucester as an example. If you're in Gloucester, your map's probably going to be the whole town. So it based on where you are and what you're searching for, think what's reasonable, how far are my customers likely to travel? They're not probably going to come completely across London, but they will cross Gloucester. So what's my catchment? Move out to the edge of your catchment and to the middle and see where your results differ and change.
Right. So if you're standing in your own salon and you go best salon in whatever the town is, and you don't come up as number 1, like that would be a big, that's a big wake-up call, isn't it?
I bet 90% of your listeners, they will not be number 1.
Wow. Okay. That's a problem then.
Because down the road, they're doing some of it. They won't be doing all of it because so few sell it, but they'll be doing some of this. They'll be getting a constant flow of good Google reviews. They're perhaps updating their Google profile, so the map will have them. Their website might be half decent. And if one of our clients is nearby, you're not going to be number 1 because our client will be.
Right, okay.
Because doing it properly and doing it all, you will dominate Google.
Yeah, great.
Which is what you want to do. Yeah.
Well, listen, that is fantastic. Some really good little insights there. Phil, whereabouts can people connect with you on Instagram or Facebook or whatever other social media channels or websites? Where would you like to send people?
I think the best place to go is the website, our website. We've got a chat box on there, which one of my assistants will probably answer, or AI might even answer you. But my website's got lots of information. You can get a free rank report. You can send us an email. My personal email, and I'm delighted to hear from people, my personal email will come straight to me, info@salonguru.net.
Right, okay. All right, well, I'll put those links in the show notes for today's podcast. So if you're listening to this podcast episode with Phil Evans and have enjoyed it, then do me a favour, share it with people that you know who would also enjoy it. So to wrap up, Phil, thank you very much for being the guest on this week's episode of the Grow My Salon Business podcast. And I'll be sure to get you back again over the next few months because our marketing course, which you're one of the presenters on, is going to create a lot of interest around many of the topics we've discussed. So thanks for giving us your time again today.
Nice to see you again, Anthony.
Cheers. Thanks, Phil.
See you soon.